It occurred to me as I was filming these videos that some of you who are watching these may be newcomers to knives. So I may be throwing out terms like OTF and spring assisted and Italian and Bali, and maybe you don't know what I'm talking about. So for those of you who are new to knives and would like a little background info, here is Knives 101, where we talk about all the knives. How's it going, guys? This is Holly with Grindworx, and today we are talking about all the different types of knives that are available to you. So we're going to start with the original knife. This is a fixed blade knife. This is what people have been using for millennia. It's simple, it's effective, just one long piece of sharpened steel. These are valued for their simplicity and their strength, especially if they're full tang. And for those of you who don't know what that means, the tang is the part of the blade that extends into the handle. In some knives it only extends part of the way, in others it extends the full length of the handle. That's going to give it more strength. Fixed blade knives are ideal for camping, survival, hunting, bushcrafting, cooking. That's why we all have fixed blade knives in our kitchens. Kind of the rougher, more intense tasks, you know, like the chopping and the batoning. That's when you chop something by banging on the back side of the blade. Some people do carry fixed blade knives as an EDC. EDC means everyday carry, or the knife that, you know, you use on the daily, but they tend to be bigger, and so usually they're not very pocket friendly. There are ways to carry them, but just not quite as convenient necessarily. So it really depends on what you personally use your knives for the most. But probably just about everybody should have a fixed blade in their collection. So there's your fixed blade. Next we have your basic folding pocket knife. These are designed for safe, convenient carrying in the pocket. So they're ideal for smaller, everyday tasks that require a sharp edge, like mail, opening your packages, cutting off tags, string, twine, you name it. You know, just anything that the typical person would say, I need scissors for. That's why you have a knife. So your average prepared person is going to have a small pocket knife that they keep in their pocket for these kinds of things, which means that it usually includes a pocket clip of some kind, which just makes it even more accessible. Now, there are all different kinds of folding pocket knives out there. We're not going to go over, you know, lock types, open types, things of that nature, blade styles. For the purposes of this video, we're just talking your basic folding knife. We'll talk more about all the different kinds in a future video. Next we have your spring-assisted knife. These are designed for quicker one-handed opening. So very similar to a folder, except that it uses a spring to help deploy the blade. So you get it started in this case by pushing on the flipper tab that extends off of the tang of the blade there. And then inside there's a spring that kind of takes over and does the rest of it for you. Literally just makes it more convenient, quicker access. However, it can be difficult to close one-handed. Because it has that spring inside, as you're closing it, it increases the tension, and it really wants to push back against your finger as you're closing it. So it's possible, but it's a little trickier, and you probably are more likely to cut yourself if you're not being careful. Safest to use two hands. Next, we have the side opening automatic knife. Automatic knives take convenience and speed to a whole other level. For modern autos, a compression lock and coil spring are the most common mechanisms. And what that means is that all you have to do is press that button and the blade just fires right open. Now, the drawback to something like this is that springs do wear out over time, which means that the speed and strength of the action will weaken over time. So you may have to disassemble it and replace the spring at some point. Not a huge deal, but you know, if you're the kind of person who doesn't really want to think about it, doesn't want to have to put extra care and maintenance into your knives, then an automatic knife may not be for you. But they sure are fun. Again, like the spring assisted, best to close with two hands. Now we're moving into OTF knives, which stands for out the front. Out the front knives take the concept of an automatic knife and apply it to knives whose blades eject out the front of the handle rather than swinging out from the side. So within the OTF category, there are two kinds. We have a single action OTF, which is similar to a spring-assisted knife in that they're not truly automatic. They use a spring to assist the blade deployment after you get it started by pushing the thumb slide. It's less convenient and it requires 2 hands to close, which is sometimes tricky. It means lots of extra buttons in different places. They usually include a safety to prevent accidental opening. This one in particular includes a glass breaker and a pocket clip, of course. The double action OTF knives are the epitome of automatic convenience because they can be deployed and recharged, so to speak, with one hand. These have a cool factor and a fidget capability unique to this category, but it does come at a price. You see, the more complicated the mechanism, the greater the potential for something to go wrong. And again, springs do wear out over time. So sometimes you'll find with OTF knives that they come off track, which means that when you go to deploy it, the mechanism inside fails, it didn't engage correctly, and so the blade doesn't come out all the way. It doesn't lock into place. There's a simple fix for that, but it is something that could happen from time to time, especially in your cheaper budget knives. But OTF knives are super popular for obvious reasons, and they can also be really useful in situations where you need access to your knife really fast and with just one hand. So they're popular with, first responders and people who work in industries where they're reaching for their knife again and again and again and needing to put it away quickly too. Now here's something a little different from everything else on the table. This is a stiletto, or an Italian style knife. Italian knives were probably the first automatic knives to be invented. The mechanism is different from modern side openers, but the payoff is the same. After you disengage the safety and push that button, you got a blade that snaps open automatically with nice speed and that satisfying thwack that we all love about autos. These are the knives that you probably associate with some of the classic gangster movies and villains back in the day. Today, Italian knives are best as collection pieces. They really are more for looks than utility because they are generally handcrafted. So they don't have the precision and the tolerances that production knives of today do, but they are absolutely gorgeous and honestly a really fun part of any collection. Last of all, we have the butterfly or Balisong knife. These knives are the most recreational iteration of folding knives. They have a blade that is housed between 2 pivoting handles. And what this does is it allows the user to perform tricks. So these are really not designed for utility. They really are for recreation. So usually they don't include a pocket clip and they don't necessarily have the best ergonomics. So when this is open, if this was a live blade and not a dull trainer blade, you could use this just as well as any other knife. It just, in the end, wasn't really intended for that. So this is more of a hobby knife. So how are you feeling about your knife education so far? Did you have any idea that there were so many different kinds that you could use in so many different ways? Knives are pretty fantastic, aren't they? So there is your first episode of Knives 101. I plan on doing more videos like this in the future. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment in the bottom. Is there anything I forgot? Anything that somebody who's new to knives needs to know about these? What do you recommend as somebody's first knife? I'd love to hear from you, so please leave me a comment. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to know when a new video comes out. And if you're interested in any of the knives that I've shown you today, I'll have links in the description below. You can also find all of these on grindworx.com. If you really want to have some fun, jump on the website and join our email list so that every time we have a sale or there's something new, it comes straight to your inbox. Thanks again for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.